what is the difference between healthy conflict and destructive fighting? And there is a big difference. Conflict isn't the problem in marriage. It really is the disconnection that comes from fighting unfairly. Every couple fights or should fight to some degree. The question is, how do you fight and whether or not it creates growth and expansion and an increase in closeness, or whether it results in corrosion and building of resentments. So when we get into the nitty gritty of how a fight is actually going, there are a few ways to tell the difference between when you're in a healthy conflict and when you're in a destructive kind of argument. So today I want to help you tell the difference so that you can shift these fights into deeper intimacy instead of causing damage. I want to share the 5 distinctions that will help you understand the difference between, am I on track for healthy conflict resolution, or am I in a recurring fight that's actually not going to resolve anything? So the first thing is that healthy conflict focuses on the problem, whereas destructive fighting focuses on the person. So for example, healthy conflict says something like, we have a problem, here's the problem, let's solve it together. Whereas destructive fighting says, you're the problem. One approach is going to keep the bond intact. You're going to stay connected and unified. And the other is going to fracture safety and your identity in the relationship. And so it's like the difference between saying, I feel overwhelmed when I handle everything on my own, which is that's sharing the problem, pulling back the curtain, and opening the door for them to join you in problem solving, versus you never help. I feel alone because you never help. I always have to do everything myself because you're never around. The first one is saying what the problem is for you. And the second one is talking about them and making generalizations and accusations. So you can hear the difference, right? And if you lead with an accusation, or if you lead with talking about them and not the problem itself, which is whatever's coming up for you or the meaning that you give it, then it's going to create defensiveness. And then when they get defensive, then you're not going to feel heard. And then you might ramp up or up the ante. Sometimes we double down when we don't feel heard, and it just escalates from there, but yet nobody ever walks away feeling like they've been heard. So the first thing you can do is just ask yourself, am I talking about the problem or am I talking about the other person? That's the first thing. Now let's go deeper, because I want to show emotionally what happens next when we are approaching a conflict is that healthy conflict is going to regulate your emotions, whereas destructive arguments escalate your emotions, amplify or dysregulate your negative emotions, right? So that you go into fight or flight and you're not coming from a grounded, calm place. And of course, that never goes well once you're in fight or flight. The nature of fight or flight is that you perceive your partner to be the enemy, or at least your opponent, or some kind of threat to your safety on a primal level, even if it's just emotional. If you are having a constructive argument, you can name your feelings. You can say what's happening for you emotionally without being consumed by your emotions. You're having your emotions as opposed to your emotions are guiding you. When it's healthy, your nervous system stays open to connection, even though you're having some kind of feelings about it. But when we escalate, when we get to the point of we're dysregulated or we're in fight or flight, we're going to get into yelling, we're going to get into shutdown, we're going to get into criticizing, and we're going to go into that survival mode that shuts off any attempt at collaboration. So just be aware that if you're going into survival mode and now you're viewing your partner as your opponent, even unconsciously, and you don't feel safe opening up and you feel like you have to either withdraw or attack, you know that you're in danger territory. You're in that place where it's going to turn destructive. And then you want to pause and you want to protect your relationship. And that brings me to point 3, because timing and pacing matter just as much as the content and the process of your argument. Timing and pacing matters more than most people realize. So the third thing is that healthy conflict is going to pause to protect your connection, rather than pushing through and just ignoring the damage. Like when you're in a destructive cycle, you get really hooked in and you don't even care if you're causing damage, or you recognize it and you might care, but you feel like you can't stop. Maybe they said something that really made you feel defensive and now you really want to convince them or defend yourself. Something got hooked in, right? And so now it's really hard for you to disengage, even though you recognize that you're not protecting the connection with a healthy pause. Healthy couples are going to call a timeout when things get heated before words become weapons. Destructive cycles are going to force the conversation to continue, even when neither partner is capable of having it go well. I've been on both sides of this. I've definitely been on the side of it too. Like what pops into my mind when I remember me being in this cycle with my husband is like, I would know that I was too upset, but I would still keep trying to have the conversation. And it was just a recipe for disaster. It doesn't work. It's not even about right or wrong. It's just about what works and what doesn't work. So you really want to have a mentality. If you want to have a healthy conflict, you have to be able to pause to protect the connection. And a pause is actually coming from a place of love. Sometimes it will activate a sense of abandonment in one partner if one spouse is saying, I want to take a time out. That's why you have to make sure that you take distance responsibly with a promise to return. A pause or a timeout isn't just shutting down and not coming back. It's I'm coming back in a couple hours and you have an idea of like when you're going to resolve it so you're not left hanging. But if you are not coming from a place of love and you're not looking at it as something that will protect your relationship, you might push to prove a point. And that comes from fear. That comes from protection, not from love. And that's going to position your partner as your opponent and not your ally. Pretty much every time it ramps up, it's because that's what's happening behind the scenes. Now, even if you do get to the point where you can have a successful timeout, good intentions aren't always going to stop you from going sideways when you return for the argument or to continue the conflict resolution in a healthy way once your heart rates have gone down and once you're not escalated. The thing that you have to remember is that if you've gotten to the point where you need a timeout, there might be a need for repair. Somebody might have said something that hurt the other person's feelings. There might have been a breach. It might have gotten heated. And so now the fourth thing is that healthy conflict is going to prioritize repair, whereas destructive fighting prioritizes being right and wanting to convince the other person of your position, getting into the minutia, looking for what really happened, trying to find objective truth, arguing the details to undermine their point instead of looking past that to what are they really trying to say? What is the meaning this had for them? Even if it's not the same meaning that it had for me, what is the spirit of what they're trying to say? If you really want to repair, you're valuing the relationship over the argument. You're valuing the connection. And when you express that intention to repair, like, I do want to fix this, I want to repair, what do you need to feel better now? Or here's what I need for repair. Now you're moving into constructive arguing. That didn't feel good. This rubbed me the wrong way. This didn't work for me. Here's what I need for repair, and vice versa. Because you can disagree and you can even have breaches in connection. It's not about never having breaches in connection. It's just about knowing how to come back into connection. So healthy fighting or healthy conflict is going to have you be in the mix, right? It's sort of like what Terry Real calls fierce intimacy. We're duking it out. We're repairing. We're listening. We're getting curious. It's not always comfortable. There's still a conflict underneath it all. We haven't fixed it yet, but in the background, we know that we will. And there's a confidence in your connection. And you know that even though you're upset, you're going to be okay. It's this stance of like, hey, I know we haven't figured this out yet, but I know that we will. I know we're upset. We're still okay. We love each other. We're going to figure this out. That's what healthy conflict sounds like. Whereas in destructive conflict, your goal really becomes winning. And it's not a win-win. It's not a like, let's find a solution that works for both of us. It's more like, I need you to see that I'm right. And I won't stop until you do. Now, here's something that a lot of couples never notice until it's too late. They're assuming that they know what their spouse is saying and not getting curious. So this is the fifth point, which is that healthy conflict stays curious, whereas destructive fighting is going to make assumptions. When you make assumptions and you're sure that you know what they mean, and let's say something's not landing, you feel deeply offended by what they said, something's not adding up. A constructive fight would be like, this is how this landed for me. This is the meaning that had for me. Am I right? Check it out. Check your perceptions. You could be wrong. Maybe there was a misunderstanding. Maybe it's a semantic thing. Like when I asked for your input, I just wanted your affirmation. But you heard my request for input as, I want you to look at all sides of it and poke holes in my argument. Maybe you came from a good place, but you just misunderstood what they were actually asking for. So healthy conflict is going to support curiosity. Healthy conflict asks, help me understand what's happening for you. What's the disconnect? What's going on? It assumes good intentions. If I'm having a negative reaction, it's probably because we are just missing each other somehow. The assumption would be like, if I'm having a negative reaction, you have bad intentions. You've said something intentionally to upset me. You don't want to think that. You want to take them at face value and try to assume the best. Destructive fighting is going to, of course, assume the worst, but it's then going to react to a story that you're telling yourself rather than seeing your partner in the moment right in front of you, right? What is really happening right now? If I just remove my filter, if I remove my assumptions and my narratives, what's actually being said? what's actually happening that I might not be seeing because I've made assumptions. And it's really shocking and it's humbling when you look at how often this happens, how often we as humans become unconscious and unaware of the assumptions that we're making and the layers that we're putting onto what our spouse is bringing. And so it's really important to be curious. If you're coming forward with curiosity, you're moving towards healthy conflict resolution. So these are really the 5 things you want to be looking at in terms of what is the line between healthy conflict and destructive arguments that are just never going to go anywhere, and they're only going to cause more hurts that will accumulate and build more resentments. So keep in mind, like, you can pivot. Even if you're in the middle of it, you can pause to protect your connection. You can come back to repair. It doesn't mean you're perfect all the time. But if you know the difference, you're going to be able to pivot faster. You're going to keep more hope to come back and fix it later. And you can remember like what it's supposed to feel like, what it's supposed to look like, and where the line is. And then just don't cross it. Hold that for yourself and say, I'm committed to healthy conflict resolution. And if you yourself commit to these things, even if your spouse doesn't, you can transform the dynamic. Now, it's ideal if both of you are doing it together, going through these 5 things together and deciding, okay, this is the culture of our relationship and we make this commitment together. But even if they're not joining you in that, if you want to do that on your own and you're aware and you're looking out and you change your moves in the dance to stay constructive, you might be really amazed at what you can actually do with these distinctions. I tried to simplify it as much as I could to keep it feeling accessible and not complex and convoluted and like, well, it depends on this and all these contexts. If you follow these 5 distinctions, it doesn't really matter what the context is. If you set your intention around those things, you will see changes unless your spouse is dealing with a precondition, in which case then you could be perfect and it wouldn't matter. And we've talked about that before. So I want you guys just to keep in mind that the most successful couples are not the ones that avoid conflict. The most successful couples are the ones that have conflict, that use conflict to reveal vulnerabilities, to share and embrace differences without judgment of each other. And they can advocate for their needs and build a team with their partner and say, I'm advocating for my needs and I'm also your ally in you advocating for yours. And we will find something that works for both of us. So if you find or recognize some of these destructive patterns here, it doesn't mean your marriage is doomed. It doesn't mean that you can't turn it around. It just means you're human. It means that no 2 humans are alike and that conflict we need to just normalize it. It is normal and it is the perfect place to grow when you can really look at each other's differences from a place of non-judgment. If you can transform the fight, you can transform your relationship.